Welcome back to Muscular Dystrophy Warrior. Just like the last video, in every video, a moment of silence for all the fallen warriors who sadly lost the battle to muscular dystrophy. Sending prayers to all those families who have lost someone with muscular dystrophy. Well, you guys, it's been a while since I uploaded a video. I know you guys have probably seen me upload, the Unfiltered, which is a spin-off from muscular dystrophy, which is like I like to say, it's inside the same channel. You just go to the podcast section and stuff. So it's been a while since I have uploaded a video, you know, focus on muscular dystrophy warrior. But anyway, I'm back, you guys. Hopefully I can record a couple of videos in a couple of days. But I won't keep you guys waiting, because we already talked about this topic with my co-host, who is my best friend, brother of 16 years, Victor Guerra, who goes by Victor the Inspiration. We touched on this in my podcast Unfiltered, which you guys can find it not just on YouTube, it's on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. So if you guys want to take a listen to that latest episode. So I'm gonna start with this question, you guys. Let's talk about something that happens way too often. Why do people talk about disabled people? And I don't mean one little awkward moment. I mean when someone walks into a room and greets the parent, the brother, the sister, the grandma, whoever's there, the caregiver, obviously, everybody else who's in the room, wherever public place, wherever, but somehow skips over the person with the disability. But before I continue, you guys, I feel like this has happened numerous times to everybody in the disability community. It doesn't matter, you know, what disability you have. You might have DMD, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, SMA type 2, any disability, and you have dealt with this situation. Or when the disabled person says hi and people act like they didn't hear it. Or, like, for example, me, like, if I see someone greeting everybody, shaking their hand, obviously I'll do my best to stretch my hand, because obviously I don't have the strength to lift my hand like everybody else. But even though the person, he or she sees the intention, they still skip by you. Or if you say good morning, good afternoon, or just hey, how are you? They act like they didn't hear you. Which, I mean, it can happen. Like, if the person didn't hear you, it's not on purpose. But you can tell, when the person, I mean, I'm talking about when the person hears you, not when they don't hear you. Or here's another situation, or when someone asks the caregiver, how is he doing or she doing? What is he like? What is she like? Can he understand? Can she understand? How old is he? How old is she? It depends if it's a man or female. Men or women, male or female, depends on the question. Meanwhile, we're sitting right there, obviously, like I said. This is not just awkward, that's disrespectful if we think about it. Disabled people are not invisible. We are not furniture in a room. We're not background characters in our lives. We are not just the person in the wheelchair, the person with the condition, or the person someone else takes care of. We are human beings at the end of the day. And you can greet everyone else in the room. You can greet us too. This video is not about attacking people. This is about awareness, you guys. I'm not saying every person who doesn't have a disability doesn't greet us or doesn't treat us the same. I have had the privilege to meet some wonderful people that don't have a disability, that don't treat me different. They treat me human. I mean, I have a long list of people that can say have always treated me equally. They never made it has never made a difference. So that's why I say I'm not. This video is not about attacking. This is about awareness. I'm not gonna be like I said, not all people ignore us. Like I said, I've met some wonderful people in my life, so I have a long list. I mean, I'll take forever to say who are they, who always have treated me, you know, like a regular person, because some people may not realize they do this, but whether it's international or not, it still hurts. It can still hurt the person, it can still bother the person, it can still make the person angry towards people. Because when you ignore a disabled person, talk over them, stare at them, stare at them, honestly, I'll give you a pass, honestly, if it's like a kid, little kid, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, six, even older kids, 8, 9, 10. I mean, obviously, I'll give them a pass because obviously kids are curious, especially the little kids, they like the chair, my old chair has lights, you know, they see the joystick, obviously, I'm okay if they stare, obviously, because I'll give them a pass. Even teenagers, I'll give them a pass, I won't get mad, but adults, maybe I'll get a little upset, but maybe I'll not upset, maybe I'll get bothered by it, but I don't blame him at the end of the day, But if it's a kid, I'm not gonna get mad, Especially little kids, they're curious, So I'll give kids and teenagers a pass. Older adults, I prefer them to ask me anything if they are curious, But kids are kids, So or speak to everyone around instead of them. The message feels like this. I see your disability before I see you. Actions speak louder than words. That's how it can make you feel. And that needs to change, obviously. So today I want to talk about 10 reasons people ignore disabled people, why this behavior needs to stop, and what people should do instead. So guys, that's why I wanted to introduce this video and topic. So let's get to the first reason. But before that, I want to say one last thing. Because this BS of talking about us instead of talking to us needs to end. That was the only word I could use, guys. I could use something even a little bit more offensive, but like I said, it's not about talking. It's about how can we end this. It's about awareness. This video doesn't have what things we can change to make this better. But I think maybe giving you guys the reason why, because I did a little research and this is what came up. People feel uncomfortable around disability. One reason people ignore disability is because they feel uncomfortable. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to act. They don't know whether to look, smile, ask a question, or be normal. So instead of treating us like a person, they avoid us completely. But here's the truth: your discomfort should not turn into our disrespect. You don't have to say the perfect thing. You don't have to give a speech. You don't have to act like we're some inspirational moment for your day. Just say hello, acknowledge us. Say hello, good morning, good afternoon, shake the person's hand. Because ignoring someone because you feel uncomfortable does not make the situation less awkward. It makes the person feel invisible, angry, upset, sad, mad. Reason two, they assume we can't speak for ourselves, like I said. This is one of the biggest reasons. Some people see a disabled person and automatically assume we can't talk, can't understand, or can't answer for ourselves. So instead of speaking to us, they turn to the caregiver, parent, sibling, or friend, or whoever's with you. They ask questions about us like we are not even there. And that is one of the most frustrating feelings. Because even if someone needs help with certain things, that does not mean they don't have a voice. It does not mean they do not have thoughts. Does not mean they're not aware. This does not mean they don't understand what's happening. Not all disabilities, obviously a certain disability, the person, obviously, It's nonverbal, it's mentally challenged. Not every disability, but some disabilities are, but still, you can show respect. There's ways, you can communicate with that person. In those cases, maybe talk to the caregiver, just wave at them or something. Still be respectful. Reason three is they see the caregiver as the main person. Sometimes people focus completely on the caregiver or family member because they assume that person is in charge of everything. They think that's the person I should talk to. I mean, in certain cases, as like I mentioned, yeah, sure. But the mindset can make the disabled person feel like they don't matter. Yes, caregiver, parents, siblings, and families are important. A lot of them do amazing things, for them, because caregiving it's not easy, you guys. But that does not erase the person with the disability. The caregiver may help with physical needs, appointments, transportation, and daily support, but the disabled person is still the person living their life. So don't make the caregiver the center of a conversation that should include us if the person is able to communicate, or sometimes they have, devices to communicate as well. Reason four, people are afraid of saying the wrong thing. Some people ignore people because are scared. I understand that. They're afraid they might say the wrong word. They're afraid they might offend them. They are afraid they might have something inappropriate. But silence can be offensive too. Ignoring someone can hurt just as much as saying the wrong thing. Most disabled people are asking you to be. Most disabled people are not asking you to be perfect. Obviously, most of us. I mean, I'm not asking you guys to. You know, we are asking to be respectful, towards us. I mean, you can ask me anything. I mean, this is my opinion. Anybody watching that doesn't have a disability, you guys can ask me anything. You guys want to know. You can say, hi, how are you? You can introduce yourself. You can include us in the conversation. That is not complicated, you guys. It's not complicated, and we don't bite, guys. I'm not gonna, if you start talking to me, I'm not gonna grab you and not let go. Which there's people who have a severe disability that do, grab the person, but not everybody. But don't use fear as an excuse to erase someone. And if you messed up a word, correct yourself and keep going. It's okay. Like if you ask a question and feel like, oh, I'm messed up, you can ask the person, you know, if it bothered them, because sometimes, we don't want a perfect conversation. In my personal opinion, you guys can ask whatever you guys want. I prefer the person to ask, not assume. Reason five, they stare instead of speaking. Another reason, curiosity, which, like I said, I'll give a pass to the kids, teenager. Some people stare because they're curious about the wheelchair, the disability, the equipment, the way someone moves, or the way someone looks. But staring without speaking can be dehumanizing. It makes us if disabled people feel like they are being studied instead of seen. There's a difference between noticing someone and staring at them like they're a mystery. If you're curious, start with respect. Say hello. Treat the person like a human being first. Like I said, guys, if you see me, you guys can always ask. Because we can feel the stare. We notice, and sometimes it gets exhausting. I mean, some people, get mad because it's always like, can you guys just treat me as a human? I mean, I'm used to it. I mean, like I said, I'll give a pass to the kids or teenagers, but the adults, I suggest you guys can come up and ask. We don't bite, like I said, we don't not bite. I mean, I don't. I mean, I think 99% of the people with disability don't. They underestimate disabled people. Some people ignore disabled people because they under, underestimate us. They assume disability means we are less capable, less smart, less social, less independent, or less aware. That is ableism. And ableism does not always look like someone being openly cruel. Sometimes ableism looks like being ignored. Sometimes it looks like being talked over. Sometimes it looks like people assume you have nothing to add. But the same people have opinions. We have personalities. We have goals. We have humor. We have dreams. We have boundaries. We have stories. Disability may affect the body. It may affect movement. It may affect certain parts of life, but it does not remove someone's humanity. All right, reason 7, you guys. They were never taught disability awareness, maybe. A lot of people were never taught how to interact with disabled people. They were not taught this disability inquiry. They were not taught inclusion. They were not taught this, that disabled people should be spoken to directly. They grew up awkward, unsure, or ignorant. But at some point, we had to stop using "I didn't know" as an excuse. If you didn't know before, learn now. The rule is simple: speak to the disabled person, include them, respect them, don't assume, don't stare, don't talk around them like they are not there. That is basic human density. Well, you guys, I mean, I think there's more awareness now, you guys, because there's a lot of content creators, sharing what it is living with a disability, and stuff. So I feel like I saw like an Instagram post about a public speaker who has autism. He was like, society spends time teaching individual with disability how to interact with, you know, people that don't have a disability, but we spend less time teaching, the kids obviously, or people in general that, how to interact with us as well. It goes both ways. So I was like, yeah, I can true, I'll say. 100% true. Reason they see disability where they see the person. Sometimes the first thing people notice, obviously, is the wheelchair, the medical equipment, the physical difference, the condition of the caregiver. And once they see that, they forget to see the actual person. That is the problem because when people only see the disability, they miss the personality. They miss the person who likes sports, the person who likes music, the person who likes jokes, who has jokes, the person who has dreams, the person who has feelings, the person who knows exactly what they are being ignored. Disability is part of someone's life, but it's not the only thing about them. See the person first, you guys. Very important. See the person first. Disability is just part of them. It doesn't define them. Reason 9, they think they are being polite by not engaging. Some people think they're being respectful by not by not saying anything. They think I don't want to bother them. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I don't want to make it weird, but completely ignoring someone is not respect. Respect is acknowledging them without making it weird. You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to baby talk. You don't have to act extra. So you don't have to treat us like we are fragile. Just treat us normally. And simple hello can mean a lot when you are used to people looking past you. Last reason, you guys, reason 10, society has normalized ignoring people. The biggest reason this happens because society has normalized it. Disabled people are often left out of conversation, events, school, workplaces, relationship, media, and public places. So when people ignore us and realize it's part of the bigger problem, it's not just awkward moment, it's a pattern. And pattern making the same people feel invisible. And pattern speaking to everyone except us. A pattern of assuming someone else should answer for a pattern of treating us like we are present physically but not socially. And that needs to change. And like I said, guys, not everyone is like that. And like I said, I met some wonderful people in my life that have always treated me. They never seen the disability. They see me as a human, you know, because inclusion is not just about ramps, elevators, accessibility, parking, or medical support. Inclusion is also about conversation, it's about eye contact, it's about respect, it's about saying hello, it's about talking to us, not around us or ignoring us. why this needs to change, you guys. This needs to change because being ignored does something to a person. It makes you feel small. It makes you feel like people don't expect you to have a voice. It makes you feel like your presence does not matter. And when it happens over and over, and you start realizing it's not just about one person, maybe being rude, maybe not knowing how to interact with the person who has a disability can be so many reasons, guys. I mean, yeah, I mean, there are people that are rude, obviously, but most of the time, I feel like it's because they have never interacted with someone with a disability, or they had a bad experience with someone with a disability. Like they're an individual with disability, they'll grab a person, they'll walk past you and hit the person. You know, they have a severe disability. It's not an excuse, for their behavior, and stuff. But not all people with disability will do that. It's about a society that still does not know how to treat disabled people as equals, which I feel like it has changed a little bit, like we talked about in Unfiltered. There's a little bit more awareness now, but we still have a lot of work to do, you guys. In my opinion, there's a lot to work, a lot of things we need to work on still, And I think we change, but we have come a long way. That is why awareness matters because some people really don't understand the impact. They think I don't mean anything by it, by impact matter. You may not have meant to hurt someone, but if you ignore them, skip over them, stare at them, or talk about them, instead of instead of up to them, it still left an impact. And the same people should not have to fight just to be acknowledged. We should not have to prove we are worth a hello. What people should do instead, if you see a disabled person with a caregiver, parent, sibling, friend, family member, or anybody who's with them do this, speak to the disabled person first. Not just the disabled person first, speak to everybody. Say hello, make eye contact if they're comfortable with. Make eye contact, guys. Ask them questions directly, You know, have a normal conversation you would have with someone who doesn't have a disability. If they need help communicating, they will let you know, or the person with them will let you know, or they can help. But don't assume, don't skip them. Don't make them invisible because a disability does not mean someone is not aware, does not mean someone is not listening, doesn't it does not mean someone does not feel it when you ignore them. So here's my message, you guys, to end this video. To anyone who's ever ignored a disabled person, talk to the talk to the caregiver instead of the person. Greet everybody in the room, accept them, or stare at them without saying a word. We notice. We notice when you look past us. We notice when you talked about us. We were not there, like we were not there. We notice when you stare but don't speak, but didn't speak. We notice when we said hi and you didn't say hi back. And maybe you didn't mean to be disrespectful. I'm not saying like all the cases will be like that. Some people are being disrespectful, but I feel like 99% of the time they're not. But now you know. So the next time you see a disabled person, don't talk around them, talk to them. Don't just see the wheelchair guys or whatever, wheelchair walker. Don't just see the condition. Don't just see the character. See the person because disabled people are not invisible. We're not side characters. We're not background characters in our own life. We're human beings with voices, feeling, personality, and stories to share, memories as well. And if you can't acknowledge everyone else in the room, then you can acknowledge. And if you can't acknowledge everyone else in the room, then you can acknowledge us too and be respectful. The real problem is not disabled people are hard to talk to. The real problem is that society was taught to look at us before it was taught to see us. Well, you guys, so that's it for this video, guys. Yeah, so that's it for this video, you guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And like all you guys, MD Warrior out until next time.